person receives whatever the information is. Okay, so there's always a sender and receiver, whatever the mode of communication is. Now, before somebody can send a message, they will have to encode it first. No, there's an idea. I want to encode it into a message, even if that is a conversation. So once it is encoded, it is sent through a channel. The channel can be email, conversation, phone call, virtual meeting. It can even be a newspaper article, right? Somebody wrote an article. It was published through a newspaper. That is the channel. And that is how it reaches the readers of the newspaper. So through that channel, the message is carried or is sent. Now, while you're sending your message through a channel, there can be noise. Now, noise can be, it can be real noise like may maingay, there's static, or it can be in the form of an electronic glitch, for example, or a lag, let's say, no, as I'm speaking right now, naglalag, nag-garble yung boses ko. Those are considered noises. Even distractions in the head of the recipient can also be a form of noise. Now, once it reaches the sender, the receiver decodes. Okay, ano to? Ano sinasabi niya? No? So, nai-interpret sa kanya. Now, once that receiver sends a message back, it is called feedback. Any response is feedback or an answer to a question. And this is always dynamic, no? When even in an interview, this is happening back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. What actually happens during feedback is the same. It's just it comes from this direction going that way. And at that point, the receiver becomes the sender and the sender becomes the receiver. So this is the communication model. Now, whenever we communicate, I want us to remember this. Our role is not to comply. It is always to connect and to communicate. Take note of that. Hindi po mema lang, mema sabi lang. It's always to connect and to communicate because we always have corporate goals, right? Projects. We need to accomplish certain things. So real connection and communication will facilitate that versus masabi lang na pinadala, masabi lang na natawagan or kinausap. So I want you to answer especially the last two questions, okay? When do you speak? I think that's obvious, no? When you're conversing with a teammate, with your boss, meetings, phone calls, virtual meetings, presentations. What I want you to write in the spreadsheet is, what are your wins in speaking? What are your strengths? What works for you? I'm easy to understand. My voice is loud. It can be as simple as that. What are your challenges? Somebody said, I'm shy. So maybe you can write that. Shyness. What else? My voice is naturally soft. I still struggle with my English. All right. It's good to be self-aware, no? According to Jaira, she has a loud voice and strong charisma. That's part of it, no? Charisma. But that can be developed also. It starts with appreciating yourself. Alvin said, I can express my thoughts to others. That's good. Bakit unang napupuno yung challenges? I have a question. Who among you find yourselves being asked, can you say that again? What's that? What did you say? Pardon? Meron bang ganon sa inyo?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So if that happens often, something has to change, right? If you don't want to keep repeating yourself, something has to change. It can be just the volume of your voice. It can be your rate of speech. I'll show you later. Okay. All right. So for those who already answered the second question, so weak voice, self-consciousness, shyness, you're not sure about your sentence construction, stuttering. Okay, so those are valid, those are understandable. So we'll give you as many tips and exercises as possible to help those. Okay, so for those who have a loud enough voice, congratulations. Those who are expressive, no, they're lively and cheerful when they speak. Ako ba, you think I'm expressive?
Yeah.
Yes.
Kasi hindi ko pinipigilan yung sarili ko. If something is funny, I smile or I laugh a little bit. If I'm really serious, I'm showing you I'm serious about what I'm talking about. And you can do that too because I'm sure you have emotions. Right?
Mhm.
Lahat tayo may emotion. So you just have to allow yourself to express that emotion.
We're just so conscious about ourselves.
Oo nga eh. So, and the tip for that is focus on the other person. More often than not, people want to understand what you're saying. They don't care about your hair or how you sound, whether you sound intelligent or smart. Unless you have really distracting hair, diba? I don't think they will actually mind. Okay, so some people are transparent, lively and cheerful. Okay, expressive. All right, good. Thank you for answering the question. Now, so it's good to be self-aware, no? It's good to be self-aware. Know what you're good at, know what works for you, and then whatever isn't working for you, then you need to work on those. Okay? I'll give you now some dimensions to communication that should allow you to pinpoint, okay, why are they asking me to repeat myself? Okay, I'll show you clues and then maybe you can pinpoint better. All right, so we have a baby in the picture. Do babies speak? No, they don't, right? But
Yeah.
without words, they can tell us that something's wrong. All right, they can tell us a few things. Okay, so if you see a baby crying like this, what are the possible messages from the baby?
They're hungry.
Hungry, good, thank
Yes.
you. What else?
The diaphragm is wet.
Yes.
All right, the diaper needs changing.
It's
Good.
hot.
Yeah.
It's hot.
It's hot. It's hot or cold.
Yeah.
May kabag. Mga panganay ko ganun eh. Lagi may kabag, lagi umiiyak. Or they're not feeling well, no? So it's amazing. Without words, the baby can tell us. Right? So maybe the crying takes the place of words. Okay, good. Next, I have a picture that I will show you. Imagine you're in a restaurant and this person comes to your table without saying anything. This person comes to your table. And my question now is, what is this person conveying? So without words, what is he saying?
Your order. Taking orders.
All right, I'm ready to take your order. What else?
He's welcoming or he's in good mood.
Right? He's happy to serve.
Yes.
Sabi nga ng SM, no? He's happy to serve. He's in a good mood. He's ready. He's ready to do his job. All right. So again, without words, you can convey that. And then finally, I have another picture. Imagine that you were awarded Employee of the Month. All right. Congratulations to all of you. Employee of the Month. Now, this person who is your coworker came to you and said, congratulations. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. And this is that person. Right? Do you believe the person?
No.
Right? But she said the right
It's
things. She said the right
sarcasm.
words. She said the right words. Congratulations. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. But then, because of how she looks, you don't believe her. right? She's not sincere. Maybe that's what you're saying. Fake,
Sarcasm.
sarcastic. The smile is not a real smile. No, so you don't believe her. Right? So this is an interesting thing about communication and how we communicate. Some things we believe, some things we don't. Sometimes we think words, you just need the right words and then that should be enough. But actually there's more to just words, and I'll show you in the next few slides. The 3 V's of communication. All right? Very important, very interesting, very useful also. The subpoints that I will discuss will give you a clue on what you actually need to improve, hopefully. All right, so there are 3 V's. There are actually 3 slices to the pie. First is verbal, 7%. The next slice is a bigger one. It is vocal, and it is 38%. And the biggest slice is how many percent you think? Actually, it's not just think. There's no opinion about this. There's only one correct answer.
55%.
There. Very good. Yes, the last V is visual, and it is 55%. And if you think about it, if you combine visual and vocal, you can call them non-verbal, right? 7% verbal, and therefore 93% non-verbal. That's how much weight goes into whatever is non-verbal, right? So let us look at the first V more closely, verbal. This refers to the words we actually use. Did we use many words? Did we use few words? Were we specific? Were we vague? Another one is the language. Obviously, we're speaking English here, but I'm infusing a little bit of Taglish so you can feel a little more comfortable. But that's because you are my audience. Now, if I'm talking to foreigners, I will not make them feel uncomfortable by using Taglish. That doesn't make sense. I will speak in English only. Even if they're Korean, even if they're Japanese, I will avoid Filipino because that will alienate them, right? They will find it weird. They will feel uncomfortable, and I don't want them to feel uncomfortable. It's the words that you chose. Did you want to say large, huge, enormous, gigantic, or tiny, small, little? And it's not just adjectives. It can be, so did you want to say ground, floor, carpet, tile, sidewalk, right? Of course, the more sophisticated, the more comfortable you are in a language, the more precise your word choice will be. But the guideline is basically use simple words. And that's one of my secrets also. I use words that I know. I will not use words that I don't know how to pronounce, that I don't know the precise meaning of. That's always a safe way to go, right? Use simple words. And of course, communication is also carried by grammar. It is the skeletal system. It is the backbone of whatever we're saying. Whether we're speaking Ilocano or Tagalog or Taglish or English, there are rules to the grammar of it, right? There is a specific sentence structure. So as much as possible, to the best of our abilities, let us learn grammar because it can be a source of confusion. So verbal can be seen, right? If it's printed, if it's written, it can be seen. But definitely words can also be heard, right? Now, how about vocal? Do you think it can be seen or heard?
Heard.
Right, for the most part, it can be heard because the root word of vocal is
Voice.
voice. This is the voice, yes, vocal, from the root word voice or vox in Latin. Now, but then even in print or in written form, sometimes you can hear the voice, especially if you know the person, you can hear the voice. Or we might have our own interpretation of how a chat message or a text message is being said, right? So that's why it's subject to interpretation. Anyway, so for the most part, it can be heard. Sometimes it can be implied even if it's written. Okay, so when we're referring to our voice, you can slice it different ways. Volume of the voice. Ask yourself, do you speak loud enough? Do you speak softly? Right? Is the volume of your voice, even if it's not too loud, just enough that you're not asked to repeat yourself? Energy. The voice, especially the volume of the voice, can convey the energy level. I think you will agree that I speak loud enough, or that my voice is actually loud, right? And you can guess that my energy level is high. But for some people, their energy level might be high, but because they speak softly, it comes across as their energy is not very high. All right. So you can manipulate that. If you want to seem like you have extra energy, speak louder. And if you don't want to give the impression that you're low on energy, then choose a louder voice. All right. Next, tone. In Tagalog, tono. So the tone carries mood. For example, do you sound happy when you speak? Do you sound excited when you speak? Do you sound angry or nervous or upset? So that's what we mean here. Right? Observe your tone often. And I know you've experienced, listening to a friend or kapatid, and then you say, "Ba't parang galit ka?" Or "Galit ka?" Right? Because we heard something that tells us, parang galit siya. And then pace or rate of speech. Do you speak fast or do you speak slow? I already told you the advantage of speaking fast. But if it's too fast, people might give up trying to catch up with you. So avoid that also. And if it's too slow, people might tune out. So find a good middle ground. The best way to find that really is to follow the same rate of speech as the person that you're talking to. Kung medyo mabagal sila, edi bagalan. Kung medyo mabilis sila, edi bilisan ng konti. Because, okay, tell me, if the other person talks fast and I talk slow, what will the impression be of me? They talk fast, I talk slow. What will that other person think about?
That you're bored or something.
That I'm bored, I'm not interested, and I don't respect their time, or their sense of urgency. Nagmamadali sila tapos nagbabagal ako. Diba? Now let's reverse that. Mas mabagal sila, chill sila, and then I am speaking very fast. What is the impression on me?
Rushing.
I will sound like I'm rushing, and therefore I want for the conversation to be over. They're not important. Something else is more important, right? Not them. Imagine the rate of speech actually matters. And then for those of you, oops, all right, mic test, mic test. Is my sound good now? It was unstable for a little bit. Okay. For those of you who don't like speaking in front of a group, sino yun? Raise your hand. For those of you who don't like speaking in a meeting in front of a group, even if that group is only 3 people or 5 people, all right, maybe you have the tendency to speak fast because you want it to be over. Tama ba? Bibilisan ko para tapos na. But if we do it that way, and I touched on this a little bit, right? Chances are they will miss something, or we will miss something. We are mumbling. We're not careful with how we're saying something that they ask us to. The president says, can you say that again? Can you explain that again? And then immediately the time that you're speaking becomes, double the time. So, like I said earlier, say it once and say it right. Wag madali because there's risk that it will take longer. All right. Next. Oops, this should be pitch. There shouldn't be an E. Pitch of your voice. The pitch of our voice refers to how high or how low. My voice is on the low side, low end. I'm lucky that I don't have to make an effort to speak in a low or lower voice or lower register. Um, Newscasters, narrators of ebooks, and also DJs, they all have a lower register when they speak. Right? What does this do in speech? It lends leadership quality. Lends, no? Nagpapahiram. There's this impression na matalino sila, they are good leaders, and that's why it is more pleasant to listen to, or it's good for business, in meetings, in business settings. If we speak in a high register, like I'm trying hard to do right now, what is the impression? Hirap.
You don't sound serious.
I don't sound serious. I don't sound like I know what I'm talking about. Parang less educated, no? Less knowledgeable. And it seems to be like the voice that we would use pag nakikipagchismisan tayo. So if you can, control your voice, find your beautiful voice. We'll have exercises to do that later on. Find your beautiful voice and use it. And that beautiful voice is sustainable. It means you can carry it for a long time. If it's too low, you can't. If it's too high, you can't. And consider speaking as like singing. Diba? When you sing on the karaoke, when you know there's a long high note, diba? You will breathe. And then birit na. All right. So that will be fun when we listen to our voice. Maybe next training day or 2 days after. And then the voice also conveys confidence, whether you're confident or not. But if you use a confident voice, it will carry it. It will help you, right? Someone who is not confident will always pause between their words. Right? That, di ba? Impression agad. Hindi niya alam yung sinasabi niya. She's not very confident. At lalo na pag hinuli ka ng teacher mo or magulang mo, no, and then you're trying to reason out and you really don't have something to say, your voice becomes softer and there are a lot of pauses. O, di ba? All right. Another aspect to consider is your audio, especially in electronic meetings like this. Make sure you have a good mic. Make sure you minimize the background noise. The closer your mic is to your mouth, the better, because there is less chance for other sounds to come between. Okay. And then, I know many of us have the earphones, no, and then you hold the cable like that. Doing that is distracting, and it's actually not productive because you can't hold the pen, you can't type. It's better if you have a mic that is clipped here or like this. No, you don't have to spend right now, but maybe you can make that a goal because it looks better, more professional. And then, one more thing. Ask your friend or your coworker if your audio is good because you probably don't know, we won't know if they're static whenever we speak. Usually yun na yung mga medyo sira na, no, na headset, luma na. They're static when somebody speaks. There's ugong when somebody speaks. So let's be kind to each other and tell each other, uy, tuwing nagsasalita ka may ugong. Uy, tuwing nagsasalita ka may static. Parang mahinang-mahina yung boses mo. Let them know so they can do something about it. If we don't, then nothing will change, right? So let's be kind to each other and be proactive in asking for feedback. Okay. Last V is visual. Question: can this be seen or heard?
Seen.
It
Seen.
definitely, no, visual nga, no?
Definitely.
It has to do with the eyes and vision, what can be seen. It's a whopping 55%. So when we're talking about visual, ito yung, remember the example of the waiter earlier? Visually, he was already communicating. The girl who said congratulations was using verbal, but her visual did not match her verbal. All right, so there's something to learn from there. So let's talk about this first. So visual includes your facial expressions. Are you smiling? Or at least you have a pleasant, positive, approachable facial expression. If you want somebody to listen to you, then you have to have that expression that is acceptable or presentable to them. Eh, kayo ba, will you listen to someone who looks like this? Right? They're talking to you and then that's their facial expression. So don't wear any negative facial expression. Of course, you don't have to smile all the time, but have that look as if you're ready to smile. All right? Making eye contact. Who among you make eye contact when you speak? When you have a conversation? All right? Good. That's good, no? Eye contact shows sincerity and confidence. So keep it up. To those who need to work on their eye contact, una muna tumingala kayo para makita nyo yung tao. And if you're really self-conscious about it, look at their forehead. So you're pretending to look at their eye, but you're not really looking at their eye, you're looking at their forehead. Or in meetings, no, look at the area above their heads. Another tip, look for a friendly face. If you're really feeling nervous or self-conscious and you're talking in a meeting, look for a friendly face. What does a friendly face look like? Smiling, nodding at what you're saying or agreeing or taking notes while you're talking. Don't look at the person who is texting. Nakakawala ng confidence yon. Okay, next, gestures. Okay, very important. Gestures are our hand movements. Everybody say gestures. Kahit hindi kayo mag-unmute, just say gestures. Okay, these are our hand movements. As much as possible, gestures should be natural. And more importantly, they should support what we're saying. When we use our gestures that way, our communication becomes more powerful. All right, next, body language. So this is equally important. Body language is about what your body is communicating unintentionally. It naturally happens. Okay, gestures pwede pa yang sadya or it's an extension of what we're saying. No? Ito, medyo natural yung gesture nito. Ganyan. Avoid distracting movements, yung mga ganyan ka ng ganyan ng pen mo. That's distracting. Okay, body language. The tip here is show open body language. Having an open body language means you are willing to work as a team, you're open to new ideas, you respect the person, teammates tayo. All right. Okay. So there's also such a thing as posture. Best posture is, of course, standing or sitting straight, standing tall, sitting tall, chest out, shoulders rolled back, because it shows confidence. If you are shy and then you do this pa, that's not helping you. Even if you're shy, but if you sit tall, to those who are shy, do it now. Okay, let's all sit up straight. Even if you're shy, chest out and shoulders back. And then just be silent for a few moments. You will observe that posture actually affects our disposition. Okay, mahahawaan kayo ng posture na mas confident. I also read a story. There was this boy who was often bullied in school. And then he had a mentor who advised him, stand up straight. Yun lang, ganun lang kasimple, stand up straight. And because he stood differently, he was no longer bullied just because he stood differently. That's because how we stand also conveys something. Okay? And then, finally, our visual also includes our video in digital meetings, in online meetings like this. Okay? Is the lighting enough? First, sufficient. Next, is it flattering? You don't want a light just above your head because there will be shadows everywhere else. And you don't want lighting from under, then it's even funnier. May shadows ng pabaligtad, no? Natural light is best, especially if it comes from an angle. So that's lighting. And if you can invest in a ring light. Okay. Um, I have the room light on. I also have a ring light in front of me because I'm a trainer and facilitator. I have to optimize how I look. And if I train with a very dark lighting or insufficient lighting, the impression is the training is not good. The training is bad or malungkot. Right? So avoid lighting from behind you because then all of you will be a shadow. Best is from the side. And I think most of you are doing it correctly. Um, make sure that your eyes are on the 1/3 line of the frame. So imagine 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Okay, make sure your line is there. Being centered is best. Avoid cutting your head. Avoid yung nakapatong na ulo sa ibaba ng frame. Or even being on the side too much, favoring one side. If you want to look slimmer, well, makeup can help do that. Of course, i-contour nyo. Pero besides that, you can sit a little farther so that this part of your body shows. Pero illusion ng bewang, 'di ba? Kaya sa kanina I've been like this, no? Parang mas malaking katawan ko. But like this, parang mas slim ako. Parang may bewang siya. But I have to be closer because I'm controlling the computer. Maybe a solution for me is use an external keyboard. All right. Anyway, so yeah, lighting, framing, and resolution. Of course, the better the quality of the camera, the better your visual will also be. Right. So these are things to consider.